Hey everyone, welcome to Conquer the Mirror Demon. My name is Tanja Andersen and I am the host on this amazing summit. And today we have a very interesting speaker with us. I'm so blessed by he's here because I definitely can learn from him and I look so much forward to get in it, in his work, in his book. And his name is Gunni Gunnarsson. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you and also part of the summits. So why I choose him was because I was finding him on Google and I was really saw on this, like when you talk about like this around his book, Presence is Power. Did I say it correctly, my friend? Your book name?
Yes.
And when I really dig in it, when he really sharing about like what that is and what is awakening, it really make my brain think, like really think about, do I work with it correctly? Do I really work with it? And what is it exactly? Because as you know, guys, like I talk like a lot of like ego, essence, and when he really talk about awareness or working awareness and what is like purpose and vision work, it make my brain think deeper, and that really make me interested in who he is and what he does, and will bring that forward to you because he has some interesting points around what is awakening, what is awareness, what is presence, and what is vision exactly, and how do we be committed with responsibility, from responsibility from a leader standpoint. So my friend, share a little bit about like who you are, because you are a life and wellness coach. So share a little bit about like what do you work with, who you are as a person, so the audience get a sense about who you are.
Well, I've been working in the field of wellness for about 50 years. And so, and in the course of that, I have created something called Glow Motion, which is Glow Motion Wellness Systems. And so what I do with my clients as a life coach, as an instigator, is I help them create the framework for what we call sustainable prosperity. Prosperity is not money, but there's no prosperity without money. So the question is, how do we sustain a balanced lifestyle that is cultivated around being the best you can all the time? So wellness, physical fitness, conscious movement, conscious nourishing, and then the conscious development of your mind, your faculties, your brain. Like you said, you know, your brain rattles, but who's rattling your brain?
Yeah, interesting point. Amazing. So the topic we get to talk about, and we will talk about, is awareness is your primate essence.
Your primary asset.
Assets.
So it definitely is your essence because it is your soul, but it's also your primary asset, the energy that you have to share with the field, with the world, with life. So it's your light. Awareness is pure light, pure love.
Is there something else you would like to share about the topic before I will ask you the first question? So really the speaker get the value on what is this topic about?
The interesting thing about awareness is that it is the source, and there is only light, there's only love, there is no darkness, there is no evil, there is no good, there's no bad, but there is resistance. So what we define as absence, which is fear, is always personal defiance. So we ourselves are causing the resistance. What we call stress, for instance, stress really doesn't exist, but what exists is the constraint you apply to the moment. And therefore, you're stressing your ability to perceive the light.
Interesting. So I have a question to that is, what I have learned is that the ego, that is the essence. Is that also what you're working with? That we have an ego. The ego is there to protect us. The ego is there to hold us safe in the past. Is this where we survive when you really look about the part of the brain we have from the animals? Are you also working with that in your work, like the ego and the essence? Do you coming from the ego? Do you come from the past? Or do you come from the presence? Do you come from leadership, a powerful stand?
Well, yes, but we complicate these things. What is ego? Sometimes we talk about negative ego or positive ego. In my terminology, I use something called lackey, the essence of our being that operates from scarcity. So the protective element, for instance, we sometimes talk about fight and flight and freeze, but we really never talk about love. So fight and flight and freeze are reactive, impulsive, compulsive behaviors based on your perception of what we would call an illusionary fear. But love is response able. Love is your ability to respond and diffuse the fear that you have cultivated in your life. So when we talk about ego, are we talking about the voices in our heads? Or are we talking about the aspect of your survival premises? For instance, are you operating out of fear and control? So where do we operate from? And if we simplify this, we can talk about being unified, holistic, heartbound, or we can talk about operating out of duality, which is mindset. And always what the Indians would say, a forked tongue. So when you operate out of a duality, then your ego is what operates you. But when you operate out of unity, then it's your soul that operates you.
Amazing. And very interesting, because how I have healed my hot moments, my challenge moment in the past was really, I was consumed by like self-harm, self-hate, and I was really addicted to violence. I was addicted to the same type of violence. For me, I really feel I was in darkness because I was so consumed about where can I give myself pain, because I have a belief around I'm only loved when I experience and feel and do pain to myself. So how do you see that? Because how I talk about that is the ego, that is the darkness, that is like what we think, what we don't want to talk about, the heavy stuff, the challenge, the dirt.
Well, what if we look at it from a different point of view? What if we look at it as a story? And the story is not negative or positive. However, there's a payoff. And so because you're addicted to absence, the drama, then you sustain the story to justify not being present. You may not be doing it consciously, but you're doing it unconsciously, consciously. So whatever the story is, which becomes your perspective, whatever you believe is what you become, and then that is what you project and create. So you cultivate a view, a story, and your environment helps you cultivate that and then sustain it. For instance, this is very hard for people to understand, but domestic violence begins within ourselves. And then we attract the elements required to actually experience what we believe. So I heard this a long time ago. This is not something I wrote. This is something I saw from a yogi called Amrit Desai. And he stated, you are the creator. Whatever you believe is what you become, and that is what you create. So the question is, what's the payoff? And sometimes the payoff is as simple as feeling in control. Like the only way you feel alive is when you feel pain and negativity. But you call it darkness. Why would we call it darkness? The only darkness that we can ever experience is our resistance to truly feel the light. So we are separating ourselves from the light, which causes an illusion, duality, instead of experiencing the feeling that we have procured moment by moment. But the moment we can show up for how we truly feel, then we're liberated from the illusion of it.
Interesting. Like a lot of people, few people, as I have been in connect with or talk with, that has mental illnesses like PTSD, borderline. Many of them is talking about this darkness that is just consuming them, where they just react, and there is no light in that. They are all in reactions, and they feel is living the darkness, they're living in the ego, they're living in the victim mentality. So how do you see that? Because when people have a mental illnesses, most of the time there's no room for the light before they're doing the healing and doing the soul searching in that moment.
We're calling it mental illnesses, but if we look at it from a different point of view, for instance, what is anxiety? What is doubt? What is fear? What is depression? And the answer is lack of energy, lack of light. So how do we deprive ourselves of energy? How do we devote the energy? For instance, all that you devote your awareness to will grow and expand. If you're constantly devoting your energy to fear and resistance and defiance and negativity, then all of your energy is allocated to that. And at some point, you completely deplete yourself energetically, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And when you have arrived in that state, you have no vision, you have no light, you have no resources to actually shine your light on your path or your purpose. So all of your potential, some people call it hope, and I don't, because hope is an interesting terminology. Trust is a much better one. So when we have deprived ourselves of the energy, then you are living in the darkness experienced by that fatigue. We are rendering ourselves empty because of our abuse towards ourselves. And I'm not making light of it. I understand the complexities, and we call it mental illness, and we do everything in our power to medicate. But you can't medicate illusion. At some point, you have to awaken and realize that once you breathe, once you look up, once you have purpose in your life, once you're willing to take responsibility for how you are making yourself feel, then we can change the projection or the trajectory of your path, of your purpose, of your life. But most of us are not willing to tell the truth. Most of us are not willing to understand that we are causing the pain. Now, where did we learn that? Where did we pick up the story? It's beside the point. But right now in the world is permeated by fear. And more people are deprived of energy because they're operating with so much defiance and so much resistance. And more or less, most of us are on a run. We're running away from the heart, from the emotion, from feeling, from being present. And it's a challenging time. I'm not denying that we feel fear, we feel darkness, but I'm saying that we're causing it. We ourselves are causing it.
Interesting. So I'm interested to know a little bit about you around, because why we have, as I believe, why we have the vision, why we have the life purpose we have is because we have it's connected with a life experience in the past. So let's go back in the past. Where did you feel challenged in your life around this awakening? Where did you not have the awakening yet in your past? Can you share a little bit around that before like this shift happened?
My first awakening was around 16 years old. And at that time, I was very active, engaged, and you know, my surroundings, my parents were abusing alcohol, and so my life was intense, and I was afraid of my intensity, and we can call it obsessive compulsive behaviors. And I had a lot of inspiration, a lot of challenge, a lot of energy at my fingertips, and I was drinking at the time and not feeling very good about myself. And I was sort of faced with the fact that if I didn't rescue myself or find a way to bring clarity to my life, then I would be in deep trouble. And what I was lacking at the time was discipline. I had no parents, I had no framework, I had nothing to point me in the right direction. I did have some people to look up to. And what I realized is that I myself would have to become my disciplinarian. And so I started doing breath work and exercises. At the time, I didn't know where my intellect was driving me, but I was drawn towards fitness and motion, but breath work and awareness was still somewhere lodged in my being. And I knew that by becoming more aware, more present, I could gain some control of my life. And that's when I started cultivating my own approach to what I call now the Glow Motion Wellness System.
Powerful.
It was pain that awoke, pain, my first awakening, just pain, fear. I feared myself.
You fear yourself? Did you say that?
What else would you be afraid of?
Good question. Fear. I have fear is so interesting. Fear is, as I see a fear now, is fear. My power is to move because there's something in fear that have, as I work with fear, fear is my partner, fear is my energy to move forward, to do it anyway, to do the uncomfortable, to showing up, because fear is there to, as I see it, to give me power to step forward, to really also see where do I hold myself back in life.
Well, that's a very, very sort of powerful view. And if you leverage fear, you leverage motivation.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if we can bring you into inspiration and infusion so that you don't have to leverage your fear for motion. So what we have done as humanity, as society, we have cultivated fear to create societies and motion. So everything is about lack. Until you reach that, until you become that, until you own that, you're not good enough. So all of it is about motivation, and we set goals and we run ourselves ragged. And the Americans will say the best motivation is away from something and then towards something. So you're motivated at both points. And for me, this is the silliness of what we're doing. You can't sustain motivation. And sooner or later, you will burn out. And all of us, or most of us, have experienced a great deal of burnout in society, in corporations, with individuals. And because burnout is the last hope, the last resource that you've been chasing, like a donkey chases a carrot, and you find out that there's nothing there. Because if you can't be happy now, you're not going to be happy then. If you can't sustain your presence here, why in the world would you be able to sustain your presence there? Doesn't work. And I call it the when disease.
The when disease.
The when disease, yes. I'm going to be happy when. I'm going
oh my God.
So it's all about, when. Americans sometimes say when my ship comes in. So we're leading ourselves on like donkeys with a carrot. The only liberation is awareness, to awaken to the fact that you are the primary asset. You are the essence. Whatever you devote that awareness to will grow and expand, whether it's fear or whether it's love. So the awakening is very, very powerful. And we have, on a cave, we have approximately 3 to 5 opportunities to awaken in a lifetime. And if we don't awaken, we just walk into the past, into the illusion of disease or some kind of negativity, remorse and regret and victimized living. And we can sustain the absence with that, blaming, accusing reality for how we feel.
Yeah. Before you're sharing about that, how we really learn that, step in that, and choosing that, I'm curious to know, in the past, the question I asked you before, what was your 3 key that really turned your life around to become who you are today?
Personal power is the first. If we talk about awareness, awakening, and then becoming absolutely responsible for me, my thoughts, my behavior, my nourishment, my rest. So I took my power back. And I moved from the illusion of not being good enough into the determination of being good enough. So we can awaken, but if we don't become responsible for sustaining that awakeness, then we can't hold on to it. Now, here's what's interesting. When you become responsible, it can only be achieved through forgiveness. And when you forgive yourself, not others, because others have only been contributing to your attraction, to what you have requested, consciously or unconsciously. We cannot forgive others. Others cannot forgive you. Just like you can't go to the bathroom for someone else, can you?
No.
No. We all have to discharge our own refuge and let go. Forgiveness just means letting go. And when you forgive yourself, in that moment, you want yourself unequivocally. You embrace yourself. There's no more scolding, no rejection, no remorse, no regret. There's just liberation.
Interesting. I have a questions for forgiveness. I've heard that a few times also for you now. Is forgiveness, as I hear, forgiveness is something I choose to give to myself. Forgiveness not something I give like to you or to others.
Yes.
Why that's like,
because
why?
You are solely responsible for how you feel. It doesn't matter what you have encountered, what has happened, what you have participated in negatively or positively by your own accord or by somebody else's. We are an entity, and how we feel is a choice. I'm not in any way saying that the pain and that this is the harm we create is justifiable. No. But what I'm saying is that what you do with your experiences is what's going to either make you or break you. So how you feel about yourself in the now is everything you have. That's where your power lives. If you keep going into the past, which doesn't exist, by the way, there's just the now, and retracting information to sustain your disempowerment in the now, then you are the cause of your problems, no matter what somebody did.
Amen.
Okay, so I have the option, the choice of choosing how I direct my awareness. Why? Because I have become responsible for it. If you are reactive, impulsive, if you have regret and remorse, you're living in the past. You're not living in the now. But the past is in your now because you keep picking up the dirt, the negativity, the pain that caused you to feel, and that's what you use to justify your disempowerment.
Yeah.
So you relinquish that, then you are not a whole being. No one can heal you except you.
True.
No one can restore your faith in life except you.
True.
So the moment you become responsible for your energy and how you allocate it, then you completely transform from the victim to the creator. So until you take responsibility, you are an unconscious calamity. But when you take responsibility, you become a conscious creator. And this is when we take the energy that we have been allocating to defiance and resistance and blame and shame, and divert that energy to purpose, to inspiration, to infusion. And of course, we can have goals. Goals are motivational factors. But once you build those goals on purpose, then you're sustaining the journey and you're experiencing those goals moment by moment instead of when or then. So the framework that I've created through my coaches, through my courses, through my books, is always about awareness, to awaken to your power, become fully able. And if we talk about responsibility, ability, the Americans use the term the ability to respond. The opposite of that is disability. Okay. And then purpose. Purpose is just the role you play, how you direct your energy. It can be a negative purpose or it can be a positive purpose. But once you want yourself and embrace unequivocally, love yourself, you can shine your light in a positive way and encourage others to walk the path. And then finally, when you commit to that, then you solidify that vision, you solidify that purpose, you solidify your role as a conscious creator. And you no longer need any kind of fear or doubt to push yourself because you're sustaining the journey with love. Fear becomes unnecessary. It doesn't mean we don't feel fear or doubt. And when I feel doubt, I know that I need to replenish my energy.
Yeah.
Doubt is insufficiency. Doubt is it's not a weakness. It's an indicator that you have run your energies down so low that your vision isn't clear anymore.
True. I'm always go to nature when I feel down, just like, now it's time for me to go out in nature and hug some trees and be with nature.
Absolutely.
And I really feel afterwards, like I feel clean inside, like I feel I've been watched like inside and out. Like nature is the most powerful tool for me to cleanse everything me so that I can keep on focused on the vision. So before you're sharing a little bit around your free gifts, you have to the dear audience that is watching us. You touched some point in our call last time around what is awakening and how do we step in that. That is very interesting, your point of view, what that is all about. Can you please share about that a little bit deeper into that?
The awakening is self. So when we have attracted, cultivated enough pain or discomfort to not be able to avoid anymore. So it's like the wall you walk into. We walk into the same walls again and again and again. And most humans, when they're operating out of compulsive, obsessive behaviors, they're either what I call a twitch or a habit. We keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So we're completely disempowered in the process, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we call it insanity. But that final occurrence, when the pain awakens you to the fact that you are not your pain, you are not your thoughts, you are not your body, you're not your actions, you are an essence, you are a soul, you are spirit, you are a being, not a story or a narrative. That's when the awakening occurs, and it's an aha moment. But in that moment, you have the opportunity to step into full expression, to be what you're meant to be.
It is so powerful when that like shift happens, or when that happens. You sharing also pointed like there's only three, as I remember, like 3 times when we really can experience awakening, as I remember. Is that correct? What I'm saying, what we talked about last time?
Well, the awakening occurs, we awaken, and then we fall asleep again. When life comes in, the environment, the family, the society that sustains the same belief system, and it can be challenging to sustain that awakening to begin with. So sometimes we fall asleep again. For instance, after all the work and training that I've done, and I do awareness training every day, I still forget, but I don't abandon myself.
Oh, that is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so honest. Like that is really honesty.
So what I mean by that is if I don't reject my expressions, I never wake up the same way. I'm never the same person day from day. There's a likeness to the process, but it's always a new expression, always. And I embrace that, and I want it. In Iceland, we have the term, ég vil mig, I want myself. It doesn't translate the same way into English. So we say we embrace ourselves absolutely unconditionally. This is who I am. This is my best expression now. And I love myself. Yeah.
That is also what I really come to me, is also really embrace every part of you, embrace everything that comes to you, and really choose to own your power, because we are a choice of everything. So it's so powerful. Not
just own your power, also own your disempowerment, also own all of your humanity.
The human moment we all have.
Yes, no judgment, no defiance, no resistance, unequivocal love and compassion for yourself, and therefore for life in general. You said you nourish and rest by going back to nature, by going back to the mother.
Yeah.
But the most powerful way to rest and regenerate and restore is gratitude.
True.
not the phrase, not the concept, but the feeling of gratitude, because gratitude is enlightenment. And when you can be grateful, truly grateful, without any attachments, then your energies are restored.
Bro, I really experienced that. Like, one of the challenges I have that was really challenged me was really stopping to judge myself, because I believe in that identity. There has been a pattern for me for many, like 30 plus years. And for me to really see when I choose to limit myself, or choose to hold myself back, or choose to be small, or choose to hide, and to really see for what it is, and really be grateful for me to be honest, to see it, acknowledge it, shift the whole game. It's just shift me into be in connection with my heart, self-love, self-care, self-worth. When I shift that and do it, there's magic happen when I really like see it and just forgive and just move forward in connection with the heart and the vision for life.
Mm-hmm. Of course. The simplicity of awareness is integrity, honesty. So when we're present, we are integrous. When we're absent, we're unintegrous. And so the moment we tell the truth, we're liberated from what you perceive as your ego. But it's the heart, the unity of the heart that's speaking and then in charge.
Honesty is freedom. Like honesty is freedom. Like I've really experienced freedom when I'm honest with myself and others. I feel love in that moment. Also when it's uncomfortable to sometimes be honest.
Of course, the comfort, we don't have time to speak about all of these things, but the uncomfort comes from our ability to receive. So that's where our permission comes in, and we have to cultivate that permission. So we talked about the steps, for instance. We talked about awareness and then responsibility and then purpose. The fourth step is commitment. Once we commit to ourselves, the universe takes ourselves seriously. But commitment is about trustworthiness, to trust yourself, to feel worthy, to have the ability to receive unattached. And it's a big step for most of us, because most of us have been rationing the light, rationing the love.
Beautiful. What is your amazing free gift you have to our dear audience that is watching you and I right now? Can you please share what you have?
It's called vision work. And vision work will give the reader or the audience an insight into the work, into the 4 steps, 7 steps that is, and how we sort of cultivate the steps to sustain what we would call a prosperity, sustainable prosperity is the word I was looking for. So it's like the point of awakening is to enjoy your present state moment by moment, but it has to be cultivated, it has to be trained. And so vision work is about how do you set up the parameters, how you create the boundaries, how you create the framework, and then move through the steps and then use the steps to sustain that presence.
Awesome. And where do we get that access to that free gift? Go below this video or go back in the email you will see from us. There is the link to the free gift. There is every information you get to know about Gunni, and also where you find him. And then the last word, Gunni, what advice would you like to give to your 20 years you, like young you, with the wisdom you have today?
What advice? The moment you watch yourself unequivocally, everything changes, everything transforms. The only thing that you can change in life is your own perspective towards yourself. So if at the age of 20, if I would have had not just the knowledge, because knowledge isn't enough, I would have also had the permission to look at myself, embrace myself, love myself, and want myself, the whole world would have changed. So I would have been able to operate from inspiration and infusion instead of motivation and fear, which I did for quite some time.
Powerful. Thank you so much, the audience, for watching us in this amazing interview. And we will invite you to go back in your email you receive for us, click on the link, get access to his good work, so you really are informed by his work, receive this freebie, and really take yourself hands-on to the next level around your own awakening and your own liberations and empowerment by who you are as a being, and step forward and learn about that. So thank you, Gunni, for being here. Thank you for being a voice for the awakening, the vision, commitment, and responsibility, and be honest that I really appreciate by you. So thank you so much for being here. My
pleasure, my honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, and see you soon again, everyone. We appreciate you. Have an amazing day. Bye, everyone.